Hello, everyone. Welcome to a Friday edition of the Orange and Brown Talk podcast. Dan Labbe with Kay Cabot and Ashley Bastock. And we're going to do something a little bit different today. As you know, we love to do drafts on this podcast. And in honor of the Pro Bowl games happening this week, we're going to draft our ideal Browns dodgeball teams. And we're going to see who, maybe I'll put it up to the texters to pick the winner of the teams we select. So there's really no rules on this. We're going to pick 5 players each. We're going to do a snake draft, and it just has to be a player who's currently on the Browns roster. So that means somebody, even if somebody's going to be a free agent and might not be back, you can still pick them as long as they're on the roster today when we're doing this draft. So I'm really curious what everyone's strategy is going to be here. Ashley has had an advantage because she actually watched the dodgeball on Thursday night, so she has seen a few of these Browns players play dodgeball. I'm still pretty confident. I do have at least one sleeper. But other than that, I think we're kind of winging this. But Ashley, I mean, the dodgeball, you watched it. You were telling us about it a little bit before we came on. Give us a rundown.
I mean, so basically, if you didn't watch how they did it, the format, you started out with the AFC guys. So they split them up, AFC defense versus offense. And then whichever one of those teams won would go off to face the winning NFC team for the dodgeball title. I don't know what we're calling it. So the AFC defense easily beat the AFC offense, in which Nick Chubb was one of the final 2 AFC offensive guys left standing. Myles Garrett was still standing when the defense won. And then the NFC offense beat the NFC defense. And then the NFC offense and AFC defense faced off, and the NFC came away with the victory. But again, Myles Garrett did get eliminated, but made it pretty far in that. So you did get to see those guys kind of show a little bit, like Dan said, of their dodgeball strategy. And I think that can help in this draft.
Okay, I'm also curious before we do this. When is the last time you played dodgeball?
I think when I was in like junior high and like gym class is my guess. I played it all the time growing up. My parents sent me to before I was, in junior high and really into sports, I would go to CYO, like day camp. And we played it there all the time. But I remember playing it in like junior high gym class. So
Kay, I think I might have played it in college for some reason, like once or twice. But I think it's probably been at least, if it was in college, it's probably the same as Ashley, like early high school or like junior high.
Well, I will tell you what, I have post-traumatic stress disorder about dodgeball, because we used to play dodgeball all the time at St. Clement's, my grade school in Lakewood, Ohio. Played it all the time. And basically what dodgeball consisted of was to put all the girls in the middle of the gym and surround them with all the boys and have the boys whip balls at us as hard as they possibly could. What were they thinking? So those are my memories of dodgeball. And people, our listeners might not realize this about me. I am not the largest human being in the world. I was probably the smallest person in the class. And so, getting these white dodgeballs just whipped at me was a scary proposition. So
it's such a weird game to play in a elementary school gym class. 'Cause it'd be one thing if you were throwing little soft Nerf balls or something, but you're throwing these things sting when they hit you in the face. They're really brutal.
They sting. They probably knocked me over half the time. I mean, I was like a bowling pin, whip a dodgeball at my head. One of these bigger guys. It was not a good situation. No.
All right. Well, let's pick our favorite Browns dodgeball players here. Let's pick our dodgeball teams. And the draft order here is Ashley's going to go first. Kay is going to go second. I'm going to go third. I will say that I conveniently announced it will be a snake draft after our draft lottery generator put me at third. But that's how it goes sometimes. Ashley, you have pick number 1. Who are you taking?
Yeah, so for me, this was a no-brainer. This guy was the former number 1 overall pick, and he's going to be number 1 overall pick in the Orange and Brown Talk Dodgeball Draft, I am taking Myles Garrett. What I saw yesterday, I probably would have taken Myles Garrett had I not watched yesterday or had he not participated in the dodgeball games yesterday. But number one, he's obviously so athletic. We've been talking a lot about Myles Garrett these last couple weeks. I'm not going to go over everything you already know about him, but I will say on top of all of his physical abilities, he had a great dodgeball strategy, which was he didn't come on too hot immediately. He kind of hung back, waited, and eventually he made a move and would start going after some loose balls and actually make some throws. But early on, you could tell his strategy was kind of preservation. And it worked for him most times because when he got eliminated finally, it was for a mistake that you wouldn't really expect Myles to make. It was a lack of, field awareness. He stepped out of bounds. But they were also like changing the parameters of the field. That was part of it. As time went on, they made the field smaller and smaller. So it was a tough way for him to get out. But I think on top of all his athleticism, and you can go and look up some of the crazy moves he had yesterday, he just all around would be my number one guy, kind of regardless if I didn't know what his strategy was.
Yeah, Mary Kay, really smart, athletic. I'll never forget the video of him dunking on that one guy that went viral a couple years ago. I still question that guy's sanity when Myles Garrett shows up with a camera crew. Like, just don't try and block his shot. Don't just get out of the way. But, we know he's an athlete. We know he's a multi-sport athlete. He's got some basketball in his genes as well from his family. So this is a tough one to argue for number one overall.
Yeah, it is a tough one to argue for number one overall. Of course, having the number two pick, I was kind of hoping that Ashley would get creative and pick somebody else and leave Myles for me, because of course I'm sure I would have liked to have him for my number one pick, and so would you, Dan. But we're going to have to come up with something else. But yes, great pick by Ashley. There's really nothing that Myles cannot do. And certainly that is the makings, the beginnings of a really, really good team. So good for you, Ashley. You got rewarded for actually watching dodgeball last night.
There we go.
You deserve that.
And early plug, I was working on another story as I was watching dodgeball. But then, I watched all of the events. I tried to anyway. And I just became riveted by watching what Myles and Nick were going to do out there. I was so fascinated by dodgeball. Who doesn't love dodgeball? I mean, except if you're Mary Kay getting pelted with the balls. It's fun to watch dodgeball. It's fun to watch these superhuman athletes play dodgeball.
I wish we had some video of St. Clement's dodgeball from when I was in whatever grade, 6th grade, 5th grade. I really wish we had that, because that would be so funny right now to see me and all these other little girls standing in the middle of the room, just getting drilled with these balls. Okay, so should I go, Dan?
Yep, go ahead. You are on the clock.
All right, I've got the next pick, and I do not know why. I don't have any rhyme or reason for this, and I did not put one iota of thought into strategy or my dodgeball team whatsoever. So I'm just kind of going off the top of my head, and I don't know exactly why I'm picking this person, but it just feels right to me. And I'm going Perion Winfrey. Because I don't know. I just feel like he would be really good at dodgeball. A little bit reckless, a little bit crazy, lots of power, right? Some athleticism, and I don't know. Maybe just a little bit of nuttiness. So I'm going Perion.
This is not a bad pick. I think it's maybe a little high. I don't know that I would have thought of Perion. Maybe if I would have been scrolling through the roster, I would have been like, oh, maybe I should take him. But I mean, Ashley, there's a compelling case here for Perion Winfrey being great at dodgeball.
There is, and like you, Dan, I don't know that I would have thought about him as a first-round pick, but I'm just thinking now, like, you get him out front early, you let him do the barking that he did in his, of course, now famous post-draft press conference, and use him as, like, the intimidator. Like, I don't know how well he's going to actually dodge balls, but I think he could be a good guy, whereas Myles is the kind of guy that's going to hang back. Perion's the kind of guy that's going to go from the time that whistle blows and everyone's lined up. So I think this is a good guy to have on your team in terms of aggression out there.
I am envisioning as soon as the whistle blows, Perrion just barking and running to the middle and grabbing a ball.
Yeah,
this
just
is
grabbing all the balls. Can't you just see that?
Yeah, this is a sneaky good player to have on your team. I think he's like an X Factor type of player. Okay, so I've got one that I was thinking of originally taking, and another one that Ashley, when you started talking strategy, popped into my head. So we'll just start with the first one. I'm going to take Deshaun Watson. We know he can throw. He's accurate. He's athletic. I want a quarterback on my team, and I think of the 3 quarterbacks I could choose, Deshaun Watson is the guy I'm going to take, because I know he brings this level of versatility that you need. I've never seen him catch a ball. I'm assuming he can, but I like that accuracy and that arm strength and that athleticism. So I'm going to take Deshaun Watson with my first pick.
That's a good
one,
one,
maybe
Dan.
Mary Kay would go there.
No. Well, first of all, like I said, I don't really know exactly how dodgeball is played anymore. All I know is that, big boys throw a hard ball at small girls. That is all I know. So I don't really know, what it takes to be good at dodgeball or what the game involves. I haven't played it in so long, and apparently we really didn't play it the way that it was supposed to be played. But
so apparently we need to. So real quick here, Mary Kay, the way it works is you've got 2 sides. You got a lot like in the middle, right? You play on like a volleyball court or like a basketball court. You got 2 sides. Everybody runs to the middle and grabs a ball and runs back, and you try and eliminate the other team by hitting them with the ball.
And if you throw it and the other team catches it, then you're out. And most rules and how they played yesterday and how we always played growing up, because this was, around the time where I think anti-bullying became a big thing, and you could not hit people in the head. That's against the rules. So if you hit somebody in the head, and this is how the NFL did it too, you're out too. So there are other ways to get out besides getting hit.
Okay.
So yeah, that's the game we're drafting for. I didn't realize Mary Kay was at such a disadvantage there.
I know. I feel bad that you're like traumatized from dodgeball.
I am. And we should get on a couple of the guys, which I could get them to come on our podcast sometime, and they can talk about what they did to us at St. Clements. And that would make for a good pod.
Can I give you my second? Should I give you my second pick now?
Yes.
Start the second round. Okay.
Yes.
So this is, as Ashley was talking about strategy, I thought to myself, I want somebody who's good at strategy, who understands strategy. And beyond that, I want someone who can catch the ball. I have someone who can throw the ball. Now I want someone who can catch the ball. And so I am selecting Amari Cooper with my second pick to start the first round.
You're going with finesse.
I like where this is going.
Yeah, of course. This is why you chose to do a snake draft, because imagine the world in which Ashley gets Myles Garrett and Amari Cooper with her 1 and 2 picks. This is not fair, but I do think this is a good strategy. I actually have another thought on Amari that I'm actually going to save until I make my next pick, because it is relevant there as well, and don't want to give away my full strategy yet. But I think Amari's a good pick for multiple reasons. The strategizing is one, and being able to catch. He's a good defensive player in dodgeball in this way.
Also, Mary Kay, I want to point out, as we make up the rules as we go, these players are 100% healthy when we pick them. Whatever injury they have is gone. They are 100% healthy. So, Amari Cooper, the core injury is healed. You are now a member of my dodgeball team.
There you go. You're going for a finesse. You're going for more of a finesse team, Dan.
Yeah, well, we're playing the strategy. We're playing the strategy game here. All right, you're up, Mary Kay. Now that you know the rules, you're up with your second pick.
I don't know if it would have changed much, but I'm going to go with Nick Chubb. I'm going to go with Nick. I think Nick brings a little bit of everything. I think he can dodge. We know that. I think he can throw the ball. I think he can catch the ball. And I think he'll be good at strategy. I think he's athletic enough to get this done. And I think he'll pair nicely with Perrion. And I'm going for a little bit more power. Dan, you're going for, sort of the skill guys, finesse team. I'm going for a little bit of strength and power.
Well, and Ashley, you've got to cancel out Perion and all the noise and loudness that he brings with a guy like Chubb that's just going to show up and knock people out.
You do. You kind of need that silent assassin type player. And I will say, watching Nick Chubb play dodgeball yesterday, he also had a good strategy. He was one of the last two AFC offensive guys left standing. And he was so smooth, like, he was doing that thing where he's keeping his eyes up. He's waiting for the other team to throw balls and miss him. And then he's just collecting all of the dodgeballs around him and just had a nice little stash going. I was waiting for it to turn into that scene from Elf where Will Ferrell is just throwing snowballs like a machine. So I thought he was very smart about the way he played. And I do think he is definitely worthy of going in the first or second round for this draft.
Okay, so now we get to hear the Amari Cooper theory. You've got two picks here, Ashley.
Yes. So when I'm thinking about guys who I draft for dodgeball, I was sort of at a slight advantage, not only because I watched last night, but because earlier this season, people may remember I did a story on the Browns playing two square in the locker room. Now, two square is different from dodgeball. Think four square, but with only two squares instead. So you're hitting a ball back and forth. But I think those skills translate. And I talked to a lot of guys in the locker room about who were really good two square players. And over, besides Myles and Nick, who did always kind of come up when you asked people that, and Amari, the other guys who always came up were the safeties. So I am going to take actually two safeties in a row. My first safety I'm going to take is Grant Delpit, who did proclaim himself the best two square player in the locker room at the time. But I think with Grant, especially as the season went on, you saw how he can move. He's tall, he's long. I think he would be able to move sideline to sideline on a dodgeball court to dodge balls, but also be able to catch some too and get guys out that way. So I think, am okay with him going in the second round here.
That's a good pick. And I like the point about him kind of being the ball hawk. That's a good one. Yeah, I like that one. Go ahead and make your other pick too, since you're taking two safeties here.
My other pick, this guy, I feel like I could get him later. I think I could get him in the fifth round, but I think to kind of make my point, I want to take him here just because people, again, he was a guy who multiple people brought up as the best two square people on the team, and it's Ronnie Harrison Jr. I think everyone brought his name up back then. And again, I think he just can excel in that kind of game and get sideline to sideline a little bit for them and kind of bring a little bit of an edge to that I maybe don't have on my team with a Myles and a Grant.
He's big too, like deceptively big. Mary Kay, what do you think of the strategy here going with safeties?
Well, I have a question for you guys, and that is when you are dodging, I mean, where can you run to? Anywhere?
In the court, yeah, like last night, and these are, of course, very advanced rules because it's NFL players. Like, I never played dodgeball like this, but, I stay, like, almost inside the lines like basketball. So you need guys who almost have that field awareness of, they can play on the edges, but you don't want to step out of bounds because that's what happened to Myles, and then you're out. So there were clearly marked lines. I would say last night it was probably about the size of, like, a volleyball court for most of the time they were playing.
Yeah, okay. And you want to have good feet. Because if the ball's coming in at your feet, you can kind of jump over it, or you might have two coming at you at once, and like you can't go and like hide under the bleachers. You've got to actually you have to stay on the court. But
okay,
yeah,
okay. Then I like
you can hide. You can hide behind someone.
Okay, that's what I used to try to do. So yeah, I like where you're going with this. Then you've got some good athleticism. You've got some good hands on your team there, Ashley. You've got some good power. So I like what you got.
All right, Mary Kay, you are up to add to your team of Perion Winfrey and Nick Chubb.
All right, well, I'm going to go with a guy that I think has a little bit of everything. If, you want to talk agility, sideline to sideline, you want to talk some speed, you want to talk some power, you want to talk some smarts. I think he's got it all. So I'm going to go with JOK here. I think he is going to be really good for this team. And I think he puts a different spin on the guys that I have here. And, it's just a little bit of a different mix. So So I'm going JOK.
I'm kind of upset at this pick. He wasn't one of the guys I was going to take, but I absolutely should have had him on my list for one of my next two picks here. But yeah, that athleticism, that agility, that just ability to kind of do it all, Ashley. This guy he's the guy I want I don't know anything about dodgeball strategy, but I'm assuming you just kind of want somebody in the middle. I feel like JOK is the guy I'd want in the middle.
I totally agree. I think that would be the perfect spot for him, kind of like he's in the middle of a defense. And, I always think about when I did that big story on him, his high school coaches, they used to call him the Joker, not just because of his initials, but because like in spades, that's the card that can clean up mistakes. And that was kind of like the terminology they were using. I think he would do the same thing on a dodgeball field or court. Like he would just be flying around and helping to kind of clean up a lot that was happening.
Okay, this is getting tough. I'm looking through the roster trying to find the right guy. And you know what? I think I'm just going to stay on brand here. So this was a sleeper I had, a guy I was thinking of that would be a really good dodgeball player. Shifty. He's quick. He's small. So he'd be hard to hit.
I thought I was going to be able to get him.
Really? He's on your board too?
Yes, I thought I was going to get him.
Jakeem Grant.
Yeah.
So a little, like I said, a little bit more finesse added here, but I'm taller than Jakeem Grant. And I think that, it's not a big target and he can move. I think I'm really glad I took this guy now because Ashley was thinking about it. I just keep taking Ashley's guys now. This is
such a good pick. I'm sick.
That was a good pick. That is a good. I think I'm taller than Jakeem Grant.
You might be.
With my heels on.
We're so used to when we interview guys, like we're looking up at them. And then when I talked to Jakeem during OTAs, it was so strange. Every now and again, you come across somebody that you're like at eye level with, and you don't know what to do. It's a bizarre feeling. All right, I'm going to make my second pick, but before we do that, since we are 3 players in each, we're going to take a break here, and when we come back, we will finish out our Browns dodgeball teams. And back on the Orange and Brown Talk podcast. All right, let's go through the teams here. Ashley has Myles Garrett, Grant Delpit, and Ronnie Harrison. Mary Kay has Perrion Winfrey, Nick Chubb, and Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. I have Deshaun Watson, Amari Cooper, and just selected Jakeem Grant. So now I have to pick my 4th player here on wraparound, and here's where my preparation really abandons me because I'm looking through the roster and I got to find the right guy. And you know what? I'm going to take this guy because I just have a feeling that Ashley wants to take this guy too. So I'm going to do it instead. And I need a little size.
I'm going to
write it down, Mary Kay.
Even before you said that, I have it written down. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. I need some size, right? I've got Deshaun, I've got Amari, I've got Jakeem Grant, but I need somebody bigger. And so I'm going to take Joel Bitonio.
I was going to see if I could get Joel.
Is that who you wrote down?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, then we'll save that. We'll find out who you wrote down later.
Okay.
Listen,
That's
Joel,
he was on my list.
About this. Yeah, we were talking about this before the pod. Sneaky athletic. We know he can move, right? He pulls like crazy. Played basketball in high school. Like the guy is an athlete. And, my only concern is big target, but I trust Joel. I think he can get out of the way. And like I said, that there's a little too much shiftiness and finesse on my team, so I just need a little bit of heft there. So I'm going to add Joel Bitonio to my team.
He did a good job last night in the other parts of the competition too. He was catching balls off a jugs machine. Like anyone who does not think guards are athletic, go watch Joel Bitonio do literally anything and be proven wrong.
Well, I know one player who does not think guards are athletic.
Yes, we do know one player who does not think guards are athletic.
Turns out that was one of the least inflammatory things he would say during his time with the Browns, Mary Kay. Yes. Of course, I'm speaking of Jadeveon Clowney.
Yes.
But, yeah.
Oh, my God.
All right, Mary Kay, you are up now with your 4th pick.
Okay. I'm going to go who I thought you were going to go with. And once again, I sort of have a little bit of a theme going here too on my team, probably because I really didn't understand and still don't understand dodgeball. But but I'm going to go with David Njoku here. I think he's got power. I think he's got strength. And like I said, there's part of me that is hearkening back to 6th grade when it was just powerful people whipping the ball at other people. So that's why I keep thinking like that. You're thinking Jakeem Grant, like getting out of the way and catching the ball and that kind of strategy. But with David, we know he can catch the ball. We know he can jump. He can jump sky high. He's got a great vertical leap. And he's got power and some speed and some shiftiness. So I'm going David here.
Okay, so my only concerns with David are he'll make the spectacular catch, right? Like, and oh my God, I can't believe he eliminated me. But every now and again, he'll lose focus and he'll drop one. So that would worry me. And also you got to keep those feet in bounds, David. That worries me a little bit too. But he was on my list. He was a guy I was considering taking. As I was looking through that Browns roster, I thought about David Njoku. And I probably would have taken him on the wraparound, but I took Joel instead. So, yeah. Ashley, were you eyeing Njoku here?
This is actually not who I thought you were going to take, but I'm also probably not going to take the person I thought you were going to take. But I do like this pick. I do wonder, too, though, would he have that dog in him for a dodgeball game to actually, like, go all out? Or would he think he's, like, a little bit too cool for school and not really care what happens? Or do we think the competitiveness would take over once he was out there?
So that's interesting. Is he the guy that, like, doesn't want to take dodgeball too serious? Like, he doesn't want to be the guy that everybody says takes dodgeball too seriously.
That's what I'm wondering. But I think physically he has all the right traits here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Interesting.
You guys don't like my David Njoku pick. I kind of was proud of it.
I think it's a pretty good pick.
He was going to get picked.
Round.
Yeah, we're starting to run out of guys. He was definitely going to get picked. All right, Ashley, you've got 2 here to add to Myles Garrett, Grant Delpit, and Ronnie Harrison.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with a little bit of a dark horse here. I don't know if either of you would have had him on your boards, but I'm going to take the guy that we think is going to probably wind up full-time taking Jakeem Grant's job as a returner. I'm going to take Jerome Ford. He's got some of that shiftiness that we did see in the return game. And we also know, like I talked about yesterday, he did have pretty good hands in college. Like, I think they might be able to use him on the field for that. I think he just kind of adds, I need an offensive player on my team, I think he adds that. He's a younger guy. I think he's a little bit quiet, but I think he's a little bit fearless out there with his running style when we see him on the field. So I think I like him on my team here with these other 3 guys.
Mm-hmm. That's a good pick.
This is fine. I think you took the wrong running back, though.
I don't, and I have a reason why.
Okay.
I don't, and I have a reason why. And I'm not going to take him at 5 either.
All right, so who is 5?
So I was thinking about this as we were talking, and I'm actually going to go back to the defense, and I'm going to take Greg Newsome, which you might be saying to yourself, yes, Greg does not have his first career interception, but I do think Greg is an athlete, and most importantly for my purposes of taking him, Greg is a talker. Greg is going to trash talk better than anyone else out there. Again, I have a team full of pretty quiet guys. I think Ronnie has a little bit of an edge to him, but even he's kind of quiet. So I need somebody who's going to talk and who's not going to shut up the entire time they're out there. And I think Greg is going to be the glue that holds my team together and gets everyone out of their shell.
If you're going against Perrion Winfrey on the other side, you better be ready to talk. That is one of the concerns.
Greg's not going to have a problem talking to him because they're good friends.
Yeah, that's a concern I have with my team. My team's a little quiet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little nervous about that. That might actually, I wonder if that's going to influence my strategy here moving forward.
Exactly.
with my 5th pick here. Newsome, again, a basketball player, very athletic, kind of everything I think you want. He's fast. Yeah, this is a solid pick here.
Mm-hmm.
So
Definitely
Mary
a
Kay,
solid
you are up.
Oh, boy. There's just a couple of guys that I can put here. There are a number of guys that I still have on my list that I think are intriguing and that would be good fits for my team. But I think I'm going to go with Kareem Hunt here. I think Kareem is still on the team for now. And I just think he brings that kamikaze style. I think he can get out of the way. I think he can catch the ball. I think he can talk with the best of them. I think he can keep everybody fired up. So I think he brings the energy that you need for dodgeball. I think he brings a little bit of everything. And in addition to that, I also think he brings some power and some size and some strength. So I'm going with Kareem.
See, Ashley, this is who I was thinking would be a better pick than Jerome Ford. So Kareem, I think, has a high ceiling where he could come out and just grab the ball and just eliminate a bunch of people right away. Or, oh, you know what? I just thought of the last time I played dodgeball, thinking of Kareem Hunt.
Interesting.
You know those trampoline parks?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, like Sky Zone or
Like
whatever
Sky
they're
Zone,
called.
yeah.
Yeah. So, like, my kids were really young, but we went to a trampoline park and they had a dodgeball like area. And so I'm like, I'm going to get in a dodgeball game. Me and my son got in a dodgeball game. And the reason I bring this up is because when the game started, everybody was like hanging back and was like, they went and got the balls and everybody kind of hung back and nobody was doing anything. So I'm like, well, if nobody's going to do anything, I'm going to run forward and try and get somebody. And so I started to move out and then just got drilled with the ball and was the first person out of the game. And I feel like that's the downside of Kareem Hunt. Like he'd get tired of waiting and just be like, that's it. I'm going all in. Like you said, Mary Kay, the kamikaze element of Kareem Hunt. He'd either eliminate everybody or be the first guy out.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So, I alluded to it when Dan said, oh, I thought you should have taken another running back. But the reason I didn't take Kareem Hunt was because, and I don't know why, this is what has stuck in my mind, but you may remember last year I did cover during NBA All-Star Weekend, the celebrity game. And Myles Garrett played in that. And Kareem Hunt was a late addition and played in that. And Myles Garrett thrived, showed off all of his athleticism, and Kareem Hunt did not. I think he scored 2 points or like 4 points or something like that. So that was just like in my mind. And I'm like, for some reason, I was holding that against him here. And I'm like, I don't know if he would have, for as violent as a runner as he is on the field and for how much he tries, if you got him on like this extracurricular team, I think actually Jerome Ford would have the higher ceiling than Kareem. Like, I feel like I kind of don't know everything I'm going to get out of Jerome Ford. But I was just thinking like, maybe Kareem Hunt is really only at his best when he is actually playing football. And I do think, to Mary Kay's point, a lot of that stuff could translate. But I personally had dinged him on my board for that basketball performance and having seen him do something kind of extracurricular and fun where he didn't really shine off of the football field.
You know what? I watched him play basketball that day too, and he was terrible. And I agree with you.
Bad.
He was absolutely horrible. But he had a calf injury, and I think he was dogging it the whole time. I think he recognizes that he should not have been out there, and that.
Yeah, I remember thinking that at the time too.
Yeah, like he really shouldn't have been playing, and so I think he was trying to, not get hurt. But but I do remember that he did. He looked bad in that game. But I don't think he's going to look bad in dodgeball. I think he's really good. I think at Willoughby South, he was really good at dodgeball when they played it in gym class. I bet you. We can find out. We can find that out. We might find that out. I think after we're done here, we should all quickly defend our team. Like go through each one and defend our team again.
Oh, absolutely. I actually probably, now that I'm looking through the roster, figuring out who I'm going to take last. And by the way, I looked at the coaches too, just to make sure there wasn't a coach that I wanted. I definitely would have taken Kareem Hunt with that pick. So I'm trying to figure out who my last pick here is going to be. So, man, this is rough. You know what? I'm gonna bet on athleticism, and this guy this season was in the right place at the right time a number of times this year. Had a little nose for the football. We know he can catch the ball. Super athletic, super fast, hometown guy. I was going to maybe bend the rules a little bit here and try and take Joe Hayden since he's actually on the reserve retired list, but I won't. I'll just take the other cornerback. I'll take Denzel Ward. Again, my team is super quiet, but Denzel Ward just can get his hands on the football. We saw it this year, picked up a few fumble recoveries, and I just think he knows how to be in the right place at the right time. So I'm going Denzel Ward here, going with the athleticism there to round out my team.
Your team name could be the Silent Assassins with how quiet these guys are for the most part. I like That's it, right. Though.
I thought you were going to take Donovan Peoples-Jones.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I thought you were
thought
going
about
with
it. Good hands. Yeah. Who did we leave off real quick?
JJ3 was the one guy I was thinking of that he probably could have gone. Like, you can use my safety argument for him too, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny to kind of make the athletic argument because obviously all these guys are athletic, but
yeah,
right.
There was somebody that I saw too that we kind of forgot that we ended up. Oh, Martin Emerson.
Yeah, I was thinking about him.
Taki.
Yeah. Again,
thought about him. Somebody could have taken Jadeveon. I didn't feel like it was right for me to take him, but but somebody could have taken him.
He'd be a good talker too, like the way we kind of have seen him, pre-interview interact with guys in the locker room. I think he'd help lighten the mood on any one of these teams.
I'll tell you who I would probably add to my team as like a bench guy, like a sixth guy, just to amp up the energy a little bit, is Chase Winovich.
That's a great one.
That guy would show up.
You need Chase Winovich on your team.
Yes.
Nobody would take this game more seriously than Chase Winovich.
Absolutely
my team could
not.
use a little bit of that energy. That's the one thing I think my team lacks.
Yes. Chase should have actually gone in this. Like, now that
right.
I'm hearing this, that's a mistake on our part. We messed up.
I thought
he should have
about
gone for real.
I thought about him, but
the energy alone.
Yeah.
Anthony Walker is interesting, especially if you need some leadership on your team.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't know how important that is in dodgeball, but it's good to have. Okay, so these are the teams. Mary Kay, you said here's what we'll do. We'll go through the teams. I'll name the team, and then you can defend. You can defend what you have. You can tell me why you think you're going to win. I'll just go first. So I had Deshaun Watson, Amari Cooper, Jakeem Grant, Joel Bitonio, and Denzel Ward. And the reason that I will win this tournament is because Deshaun is my best thrower, very athletic. Amari can catch anything, thinks like a chess player. Jakeem Grant is small and shifty. Nobody's going to hit him. Joel Bitonio is just, he's my intimidator in the middle there. He's going to scare people off and make some plays for me. And Denzel Ward, I might just hide him in the back and let him kind of sneak up and catch the ball a couple times. And I like my athleticism on my team. I think I win with athleticism. And Deshaun Watson just pegging people with some no-look throws.
What about, should we put it out to our texter, the teams out to our texters and let them decide?
I'm definitely going to send this to the texters. I'll wait till the pod's been up for a little while, but I'm going to let our texters vote on who they think is going to win. So Mary Kay, I was the third pick in the draft. Mary Kay, you were the second. So Perion Winfrey, Nick Chubb, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, David Njoku, and Kareem Hunt.
Now, you guys have to admit, this team is growing on you, isn't it? I mean, isn't it growing on you a little bit?
Yes. It's kind of a gritty
team.
Tough team.
Yeah.
It's a gritty, tough team. I started out with Perion Winfrey because, once again, I was at a disadvantage, and I was just thinking of sixth grade dodgeball at St. Clement's where, big, kind of crazy, mean, nasty guys were throwing the ball at us. So that said Perion Winfrey to me. Like, big guy with the ball. Big, kind of little bit nutty guy with the ball, okay? So I got Perion. He brings that edge he brings that edge, and he's gonna whip your head off. I mean, he's gonna just throw that ball right at your head, and he's gonna nail you, well, or right below the head. He's gonna hit you right in the shoulder, but still knock you out. And then Nick Chubb, he's got finesse, he's got power, he's got hands. I think he's got a little bit of everything. I mean, Perrion also brings, the chatter, the talk, the trash talk that you need for dodgeball. Like, he is in sixth grade. He is in sixth grade, for Pete's sake. So, Nick Chubb, he is the silent assassin. I think he's going to bring the heat. He's going to be quiet, but he's going to be powerful, and he's going to be really, really good at it. JOK, he's going to bring some speed, some power, some agility. He's going to bring a sneaky ability to throw the ball and hit the mark because of his athleticism. I got David Njoku. David's got all of the above. He's got the power, the athleticism, the leaping ability, the catching ability. I think he's got some real good competitiveness to him, some fire. And then I've got Kareem Hunt, who's got all the things that we talked about already, including that, that rah-rah guy, that guy that will run through the wall for you, that will win at all costs, that can catch the ball, that can throw the ball, and that can, keep everybody super fired up on the task at hand. So that's my team. A little nutty, a little gritty, a little strong, a little powerful.
That is going to be the loudest team in the gym. That's going to be the team that when Ashley's team and my team are playing each other, that team is going to be sitting in the stands just heckling and yelling and just going crazy.
Just JOK and Perrion alone. I mean, we've seen how those guys talk when they're out in practice and whatnot. Those JOK especially is a big, I think, underrated talker. Yeah.
And then throwing Nick into the mix to just kind of sit there quietly and then just walk out and just start drilling people. That it's actually, that team has grown on me. I'm not going to lie. Just thinking of the vibes of that team. That's the vibes team, I think.
It is the vibes team.
All right. So, Ashley, you have Myles Garrett with the number 1 pick, then Grant Delpit, Ronnie Harrison, Jerome Ford, and Greg Newsome.
Yeah, so let me tell you, number 1, I think my strategy, despite minimal prep before we logged on here at 3:45, I was at an advantage because number 1, I watched dodgeball last night, and number 2, I was thinking back to that 2-square story I did. So even though you see a guy on here like Ronnie Harrison who you think, I don't know much about him on the football field, or he hasn't done much for me lately, don't count him out because of this. Because I look at my team and I think all these guys bring something different. I think Myles Garrett brings not only the athleticism that we all know, I think he's the best athlete on this team, but he also has a really good dodgeball strategy that we got to see last night. Grant and Ronnie, good at getting sideline to sideline, good 2-square players, and Ronnie, I think, has that little bit of edge and grittiness that my team would be missing without him. Jerome Ford, I got a guy that in theory can catch the football. I got a guy that's shifty. I got my only offensive-minded guy right there. And then Greg Newsome is my talker. And also, obviously an athlete, a first-round pick. I think he can do some damage out there. And, hey, maybe he'll catch some balls, get some guys out, and that will lead to his first career interception after this hypothetical dodgeball game that we're talking about. So I think I got a good mix of personalities, good mix of different athletic styles, and I think my team's going to win.
Okay, find me the Browns podcast or the football podcast that drafts players for fake dodgeball teams. Come on, you only get that.
We should talk them into actually playing in these teams that we've created. We won't tell them what order they were drafted in, but let's get the competitive juices flowing next year a little bit.
I like it. Instead of the basketball hoop, we'll have them play dodgeball
yes.
at OTAs. Okay, like I said, I'm going to send this out to our Football Insider subscribers so they can tell us whose team they think is the best. To get involved in that is cleveland.com/Browns, the blue banner at the top of the page to get the newsletter, become one of our texters, and get access to exclusive stories on cleveland.com/Browns. And, of course, subscribe to this podcast, Apple Podcasts. Make sure you leave us good reviews. And Spotify. All right, that was fun. Mary Kay and Ashley, I will talk to you both later.